Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo, and today we're going to show you how to make big power out of a crusty, gross, junkyard, big block Chevy on the dirt cheap. Let's rock. So a couple years ago, our boy Mike Kunz, who shoots and edits the show, was able to buy his uncle's very radical and very cool Street Freak 83 C10. This thing was powered by a 454 and a turbo 400, and the turbo 400 was slipping and leaking, and he took it to a local shop at somebody's recommendation and said, get the transmission rebuilt. The shop owner said, hey, I'll pull the 454 out. It's your truck now. We'll get it resealed. We'll go through it, refresh it, and you'll be good to go. Except that he wasn't, because 3 years later, this thing was still in pieces. But we're gonna fix all that. All right, so we needed to find him a big block to replace this pile of random parts that he's got that's gonna power that truck down the road. And I wanted to get something that was pretty stout, and I realized you can spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a Chevy big block that's just of unknown origin, a 396, a 427, or an old 454, and it's maybe gonna make 350 horsepower, maybe 400. Nothing serious and nothing kind of guaranteed, and I think there's a lot better value out there. So we went out and got something different. This is and I think there's a lot of value in the Gen 5 and Gen 6 motors. This is a Gen 5 motor. So it's like a 91 to 96 454. We got this entire engine ready to run, and it looks awful, but it's only supposed to have 29,000 miles on it. We got this entire thing for $1,000. People overlook these things all the time, and the Gen 5 and the Gen 6 are great value and have a ton of potential. Gen 5 specifically because it's so unloved and that they're so cheap. So again, it's rusty, it's crusty, it came out of a junkyard, it used to power a dump truck, but it's supposed to only have 29,000 miles on it, and it should be a killer value. We're gonna dig into this thing and see what's what. And then we're gonna make a bunch of cheap horsepower with it. So the Gen 5 and the Gen 6 motors are unloved by the purists, but that's fine because there's great value in them. This is a Gen 5. It is the least loved out of any Chevy big block. They make 230 horsepower stock. We're gonna do our best to at least double that, maybe get close to triple it. And they've got great bones and all sorts of good stuff on them. The entire top end, not good. This sucks. Throttle body injection sucks. This giant intake manifold for this weird injection, garbage. This electronic distributor has to go. And the cylinder heads don't leave you a lot of room for improvement. So the entire top end is gonna go away. Gen 6 motors have a little more potential. They are about double the price of these things as far as I can tell. And you could make, 400 plus horsepower with them, but we went the dirtiest, dirt cheap route we could and got a Gen 5. Kunz is getting on camera, come on. I'm excited, let's pull these valve covers off and see just what we've got. Listen, you can get hornswoggled on the internet. It happens.
Hornswoggled?
Yeah. Somebody will tell you, hey, this motor's got 29,000 miles.
Yeah.
And they'll forget to add a 0, and you'll be in bad shape. This looks downright awful. But for $1,000 bucks, for $1,000 bucks, what are you gonna get these days, right? I'm gonna tell you, I looked in the hole where you put the oil in. I think they call that an oil filler. Yeah, it looked pretty good. But let's really have a look at it.
Yeah.
Ready for this?
29,000 miles worth.
That looks not so bad. Not so bad. One of the reasons these motors are a pain, there's no adjustable valve train. Like I said, the ports and these heads are not great, but that's all right because we're just looking at the positives. First things first, so let's get all this junk out of here.
That's a good outlook.
Yeah.
Good positive mental attitude.
Yeah. A little PMA. All right, so just first glance, general overall condition on the inside of the motor looks pretty good. I don't see a lot of sludge. So far, so good. We are not using the entire top end of this motor because, like I said, there's not a lot of potential. But for $1,000 bucks, I'm stoked so far. Let's tear all this junk off and see what's next. Yeah, this thing's seen some hard times.
Yeah.
A little bit. There's a little oil burn smell to it.
29,000 miles of jumping.
Yeah, 29,000 miles. 29,000 miles, very low. Driving a dump truck, pretty hard. I don't really know where this nets out, but we're gonna find out.
I don't know a ton about dump trucks, but do they keep the dirt that they're hauling in the intake?
Yeah, that's where they do
That's
it.
usually where
Yeah,
it's
that's
stored.
correct.
Yeah, up here.
The most of it goes in the big box, but some of it goes in the intake.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. All right.
Onward. Put it on the table.
Yeah, that's cast iron, buddy.
Sweat. Light work.
All right, so besides the junk we just dropped in there, it does look very clean.
Clean that out.
Yeah, let's give that a quick vacuum and a blow and
then clean it out.
then clean it out. Yeah. All right, so we've got the intake off. The valley at first glance looks really good.
Yeah.
Lifters look, you know, free and clean. Yeah, rocking and rolling. Let's get these heads off that are good for nothing and talk about it some more.
Onward.
So we've got the heads and the intake off of the Gen 5 454. And even though it's an absolute crusty disaster outside, something that looks more agricultural than automotive, inside it looks great. Coolant is bright green. The oil is all black. There's not too much carbon on the tops of the pistons. I'm not seeing a ton of wear on the cylinders. I believe this maybe has 29,000 hard miles on it.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. None of that stuff can make any power really, so this is what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna get this thing scrubbed down, cleaned up, and painted, and then we'll start talking about all the good parts we're gonna make power with.
Whew. Like us, this motor had a crusty exterior and a soft, beautiful inside. Right?
Don't talk about my inside. All right, so we took 4 pounds of rust that was on the motor, and then we put it on the floor and in our faces and in our lungs.
Yeah.
So tonight was a total success. This thing is looking great. Inside, outside is now, again, all the scales gone. It looks much better. Kunz's first time breaking a motor down. This is a grimy one.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. We're gonna come back, start looking at the new parts, get everything fitted up, and then at some point we'll paint this thing so it doesn't look like an archaeological fossil. But that's it for tonight. All right, it's a whole new day here. Stay tuned. We're gonna get cracking on tearing the rest of this big block apart. We're gonna show you what's good about these motors, what's bad about them. Kunz hasn't slept. He's been just awake, excited, building his first motor. First V8 ever.
I'm freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like a fever dream just having this truck back here and building this motor with you guys is a dream come true. So yeah, if I didn't say it enough yesterday, thank you so much. I literally am.
Come on.
I haven't stopped thinking
about
it.
Get in here.
You're a legend. I love you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're stoked. I'm stoked to do this for you. It's gonna be great. You know, and that truck needs a wild motor. It's such a wild truck. I'm gonna pull the balancer off, get the old camshaft out of here, drain the pan, and like I said, we're gonna go over all the points of this thing, how Gen 5s are different, and what's good about them. And whatever's bad about them, we're gonna probably leave by the side of the road and
See ya.
fix it up. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, what did you say is the fastest car you've had before this?
We really gotta do that?
I mean, yeah, why not? Let the people know. He's a motorcycle guy, excuse me. He's had
Yeah,
bunch of choppers. He's more of a bike
slow
guy.
motorcycle guy, old Harleys particularly. Fastest car I've owned was probably a Mark IV GTI VR6. I had a VR6 Passat for my first car. Always wanted a GTI, and my first job out of college, I bought that GTI.
You know what? Every time I say Mark III or Mark IV big block, that's what I think about Volkswagens.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of Mark II Volkswagens as a
Okay.
kid. Anyway, VR6 makes about 200 horsepower.
This would be, yeah, a little.
This will be a little more stout than
punchier?
that. Yeah. We're gonna have to stop this motor from spinning. So I'll throw in a couple of flywheel bolts and have to hold on to her. There you go. All right, you can see this thing is barely broken in. You know, this motor looks like it's been sitting at the bottom of the sea for a couple of years, but now that we're inside of it, I do believe that it's supposed to have 28 or 29,000 miles on it. We dug up, the guy sent us pictures of the dump truck it came out of, and you can see the instrument cluster clearly reading 27 or so thousand miles, so that feels good. Like I said, I'm going to show you the good parts. This is a 4-bolt motor, so it has 4 bolts on the main caps, which makes it a bit stronger. This thing can take a little bit more abuse. Bad part about this motor is that it has flat top pistons, and a lot of the cylinder heads are going to give you around 8-to-1 or so compression. So right off the bat, we're getting rid of those. All these old flat tops are going away, and I'm going to start fitting rings. We've got a good solution to fix that. The motor's never been rebuilt. There's no marks on anything like every machine shop does to keep everything intact. We're actually going to come through now and mark all of the caps for the rods and the mains so we know how to put everything back together, and then we're going to tear this whole thing apart. All right, we're starving. It's time for a pizza break. As you know, we say stay tuned is a pizza team with a racing problem. We're going to dig in. We've got the best around. Tornetta's Pizza. That's a nice white pie with some ricotta on it. This is a Hot John. This is hot peppers, hot honey, and pepperoni. Absolutely killer. We're going to dig in. If you guys want to send us a pizza, you don't have to. You just keep watching the videos. That's super cool. But some people ask, we want to do a little more. How can we? You can buy us a pizza. This pizza is from Jeff Goss. We appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much. And we're going to dig in. And then back at it. Then big block time. Jesus Christ, that's it. Look, it's beautiful. You see that? If you're in anywhere near Pottstown, Pennsylvania, go to Tornetta's. Listen. It's good. It's good.
Time for yum yums.
Don't watch me eat. That's extra.
And boys.
Cut.
All right, so I've got the Gen 5 454 broke down just to the block, and it's time to start making some upgrades. Number one, we're getting rid of the factory pistons. I told you they're going to be like 8-to-1. I went out and got a set of Speed Pro Hyper Eutectic standard bore 22cc dome pistons. They're going to bring the compression into the high 9s. That should work for us on the street. When you do this, you have to, if you're going to use a stock rod, you've got to press the old pistons off and then put these ones on and not break anything. Also, you've got to make sure that you left to right, you have the domes in the right spot.
You have the domes in the right spot.
You want them down, basically. So Barbie's going to start on that. I'm going to do a quick hone on the cylinders, and I will then start fitting piston rings. Real quick, we're going to start the tally right now because I want to know just how much money we spent on this thing. We are $389 for a set of pistons, big block Chevy stuff. And that's what they cost today. Tires, who knows what they cost tomorrow? $9, $1 million, who knows? $875. I bought them yesterday, $389, and a set of regular basic Hastings rings in a Summit box for $49. Barb is going to be on team put the new pistons on the old rods, and I'm going to be on team dingle ball hone this thing and fit the new rings. Neither one is a super fun team, but let's rock.
Yes, they are.
No, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do this. Like I'm churning butter, churning horsepowers. All right, so I'm going to use a little bit of diesel. You can use motor oil if you want. I think this works better. I'm going to wipe down the cylinders real good. Get the ball hone out and send it. They say they want to see 60 to 120 strokes per second, per minute. We'll see how that goes. Yep. This cylinder, they're generally pretty good. This one has the most, I guess what you call like a ridge in it, a little bit of corrosion sat on that one. So I'm going to get after it a little bit more. Try to clear it up, but I have high hopes. This doesn't take long. You're not trying to bore it 30 over with this thing. You're just trying to put, knock any glaze off and try to make sure the surface is decent.
What's the word?
I don't know. I don't love it. I did it a bunch.
All right, so I am pressing the wrist pins out of these factory pistons and rods. I got a little jig set up based on a video I saw online. A 1/2-inch extension from a regular socket set fits perfectly inside the center of the wrist pin. And then I just put a shorter extension here to help press down all the way through the piston with the press. I have it rigged up with the 2 metal blocks and a piece of 1/4-inch aluminum on the edge of the piston so that it's square. And just give it a couple of pumps. There it goes. Now you can do it this way. You can also heat the edge of the connecting rod up where the wrist pin goes in with a MAP gas torch until it gets just a little red. And then they should just slide right out with a little tap of a mallet. But this is a little bit more controlled, and I don't really want to heat them up twice because we're going to have to heat them up again when we put the new wrist pins in. Boom. There you go.
All right, I have spent 2.5 hours trying to hone out a big, rusty, gross gouge in this Gen 5 cylinder, and still not there yet. I think I've taken like 9 thou off this thing. It's not looking great, and we're considering options right now. We are a small program here, and we want to get this done this week. It's Wednesday, we're rocking and rolling, and we do realize that we have the old Gen 4 block. Now, would this throw out our whole premise of how to make cheap big block power? I don't think so, because all we were going to use from this $1,000 Gen 5 was the block and the crank anyway. Kunz has his old Mark IV block and crank that we're leaning towards. There are some issues. Number one, again, we have been hammering on this thing, and after 2 hours, it's still a pretty deep gouge. A lot of times when corrosion hits or water sits in the cylinder, you're going to see it. The piston is here. Obviously, it's in a V. It pulls up around the bottom side of the piston, sits there, and just starts to eat away at things. That's what happened here. It's like a hungry little caterpillar, you know what I mean? It just eats up that cylinder wall. And that's what it's been doing. And we have just been dingle ball honing and 3-stone honing this thing since the sun was up, and it's not looking great. So we pulled the Mark IV block out, and after a very quick dingle ball hone, these cleaned up awesome. So it's a 2 bolt main cast crank, but it would work with all of our parts. So we can keep on rocking with how to build a cheap big block, easy enough. All you really need is a block and a crank, and we're going to take, you know, some rods. We're going to take it from there. This is the question. The balance is different on the flex plate. You know, the Gen 5 is balanced externally. It's a 1-piece rear main seal. We've already got the good pistons on the Gen 5 rods.
All of them.
All of them.
All 8.
And then we're trying to see, we're trying to be real scientific about it, if that's the same. Yeah. The great Gazoo over here is going to tell us what side is heavier.
It's like you doing this all day.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like.
Yeah, I was doing that. I was
away.
I was the DJ in the. What do you think?
They feel pretty similar. I think this might be lighter, but also I have like a ring pack wrapped around my wrist.
I think it should be up to Kunz. I think he likes the earlier motor. Go like this with the camera. So as much as I like to bang on this Gen 5 some more, we're going to go with his motor. So adding to the total, we're going to call it $1,000 gets you a block and a crank and some rods. Whatever, fine.
Almost the same.
Let's make some junkyard horsepower. At this point, it's very junkyard because we're going to use our favorite of all these parts.
That a conglomeration.
Yeah. I'm going to call it a
Smorgasbord.
That's better. Yeah, anything. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. All right. We could have tried to fool you guys and like slip the Mark IV block in, but that's,
Not gonna happen.
We're not
Too
gonna.
many keen eyes.
Not even that. I'm just not. We don't have to. It's not. We're not making TV here. Let's have some fun and let's try to get this motor together. That being said, so we're gonna do Mark IV block, Mark IV crank, Gen 5 rods, and those aftermarket pistons, and see what happens. Check back in a second. All right, so we're back on the Mark IV block. It needs very little work. You know, I don't think we knew exactly how many parts we had before, but it has everything we need. It's just a block and a crank. We're gonna use the rest of the stuff from that Gen 5. But it's cleaning up awesome. You know, this is hot rodding. We're scrambling, we're having fun. We wanna get Kunz a motor that's gonna rip. And I think it's still, she's going to show you how to make good low buck power. You know, you can still count whatever it costs you to get a motor, a block and a crank, and some rods. We'll call it $1,000. I think that's doable.
Same exact math. Tell yourself that was $1,000.
Yeah. This is the motor out of his truck, though, which is even cooler. Because this was his uncle's motor, and it'll power his truck once again. Yeah, but also, man, it looks good. Sweet. So now that we have committed to actually reviving the motor or the block that was in Kunz's truck, we can start on getting those dome pistons into this block, which means we have to fit some rings. We have these file to fit Summit rings. We got them super cheap. They were $49, so add that to the tally. And I'm just going to basically fit them in each cylinder. You fit them to a cylinder and then you make sure they go back in that cylinder. A lot of times once I fit them, I leave them in that cylinder. I come back and I load up the pistons and then put it in. You want to make sure you get it in the same distance so it's nice and flat, which is what I'm doing there with this old piston. I took the top ring off to get it so it sits in there nice and flat. And I'm going to run, since these are hyper eutectic and they swell a little bit, you want to run a little more gap on them. So I'm going to run 30 thou on the top ring and 25 on the second ring. And that should be loosey-goosey enough to make a bunch of power and still not smoke and also not, you know, explode. That's what you want. The more cylinder pressure, cylinder temperature you're gonna get, the more gap you're gonna run. Nitrous, you're gonna run more. Boost, you're gonna run more. If you have a very mild street motor, you can keep them pretty tight. Right where we are, 30 and 25, it's gonna be plenty. So I have this little Summit ring filer. It's super easy to take a couple thousandths off. Once you take it off, you can't put it back on, so go nice and easy if you're new at this. And make sure you come back once it does have the right gap, and there can be like a little mushroom at the tip. Make sure you file them flat from the side. This one is a perfect 30 now. See that? Perfect.
Sick.
All right, that's one. Okay. Yeah. That might be 31. We're gonna let it slide. Don't tell Kunz. Actually, it's really good. All right, that's done. We have cleaned the underside of this motor, and we are gonna finally lay the crankshaft in and start making some low buck, big block power. Barb is slathering up this assembly lube, and we're gonna drop in this crankshaft. This is a steel crank, so it's got that going for it.
It's also made out of metal.
I just gotta crush my finger back here. I got it.
Good. I got this end.
I got it. Okay. It just with that
Yeah.
plate. Got me.
Yep.
All right.
How's that feel?
So far, so good. Woo!
a bearing in there? Yeah. Okay. 3. Thank you.
That's a 4?
Yep.
Facing the right direction this time?
Yep.
It is
It's
now.
got the arrows going forward.
You guys are the best.
Trying. This is 2. You ready? Okay.
All right, so the crankshaft is in. Now I'm going to put in our Speed Pro 22cc domed pistons. You have to line up the rings a certain way to make everybody happy. Make the internet happy. It's like one here and one there and whatever. Top ring this way. Second ring this way. I'm not even going to explain it. They're basically opposites, and then you get real wild with the oil rings too.
Is that spring compressor? There it is.
There's one. Yeah, that's going to help with some horsepowers. I'm into something.
You're into something?
Yep.
Nope. Not on my watch.
You sure?
I mean, I believe you, but
You sure you got this number down, you said?
number down.
Is that how they all are?
They are. No, number up. What is that one?
Number down.
Is it really?
Yep.
Oh my god, dude.
It's got to change.
Oh, it's a hot rod. I get it.
Yeah. Hot rod.
I see what he did.
That was my joke.
I love it. I love it. I was responding to your joke.
Oh, that's me.
Piston's cracked.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Where?
Right there. Everybody's being real quiet in here. Got it. Okay, so we made it to cylinder number 8. We were knocking in our pistons and rods. Got to number 8, realized the piston was on backwards. You have to have the rod in a certain orientation and the domes have to all be down. Dome was up. We had to flip it and crack the piston. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. We really want to get this short block done tonight. Didn't happen. This is our lose the shop moment. If we don't get this together, I don't know what we're going to put out this week. So we're going to get some sleep and scramble and figure it out. Stay tuned. All right, so we decided when that last piston broke that we had to get this truck rolling down the road no matter what. And if you watched last week's episode, you know that's exactly what we did. We went out and in about 24 hours, we bought a motorhome 454, another Gen 4, and slammed it into this puppy bone stock. And between 5 p.m. Thursday and 5 p.m. Friday, this thing was just about ready to run down the road. And we were super pumped. It's in there. It fired up. It sounded killer. And since then, the guys have come in and done a couple things to get it actually driving. There was a weird weep hole issue with the drive shaft on the yoke. Barb welded that up shut. There's like, you can either have a seal or an O-ring or whatever, I don't know. Guess what fixes it? Welding it shut. That's done. They put on a full pipes exhaust in this puppy, and they filled it up with coolant, and this thing is actually ready to run and rip down the road. So, yeah. So we're back in, and as you can see, the truck has been revived and it's motoring down the road, and seems to already be pretty gnarly with 300 or so horsepower. It's Kunz's first V8, muscle car ever. So what he needs probably is 300
more
horsepower, and that's what we're doing right here. We got another piston. I'm not going to add it to the budget because that was a mistake that we broke it. Don't worry about it. Let's all agree to agree. We're going to show you how to press these things on now. When you're pressing pistons on, you can break them, so be super careful. And get the orientation right the first time. Whoever did it.
Whoever it was.
Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
All right, come on. All right, so if you need to put some high compression pistons on a set of stock rods that don't have a floating wrist pin, I think it's pretty easy to crack a piston. I never really think you get more than one shot at it. You can push your stock piston off. You're going to crack a bunch of them when they come off. And then you can push your new ones on, and that's pretty much it. So that's what happened to us. We pushed them on, and we had to flip it around because it was the wrong orientation. And one of these pistons cracked.
First thing you're going to do, heat the end of the rod up for a real long time.
Are you doing it as you say it?
Yeah.
Okay, do I need more gloves to do the other thing?
Yeah, you got like 5 minutes.
Okay.
The idea is to get it hot enough to where it expands a fraction of a thousandth or a thousandth, whatever it is, because the wrist pin is press fit. So I'm going to get this heated up, basically heated up until you don't want it red, because you're deforming it at that point. This is in lieu of, what do they call it, a rod? There's a name for it. A rod forge.
Rod Stewart?
Rod Stewart. A rod forge.
Got
it's
it.
Hot ass beads, and you put the end of the rod and you let it just sit there.
That makes sense.
All right, get that wrist pin. Put it in those
What am I doing?
extensions.
All right, I just did this last time. This way?
All right, yep.
And shove it
You're gonna
home?
Do that, yep.
8's going towards you.
Yep, that's correct.
I'm just going to send this thing home.
I'm gonna put the rod in my right hand and hold the piston in my left hand, and you're gonna send it through. Go ahead.
Ready?
Yep. Slow.
Come on.
Oh my God.
That's going to be hard.
No. Yep.
It went all the way through.
All right, so you don't do that.
I watched you guys put it in like and
That
never
thing
get
I
it.
thought was sending. I know, I got it nice and hot. I didn't want to. Yeah. All right.
I thought it was going to be like a force. I was ready to go.
No, it's good. It's good, just too far.
I know that.
All right, we're gonna put it in the press now.
And as soon as it gets the oil on it, it cools it and it grabs
Close it
that sucker.
immediately, yeah.
Okay, well we can try it.
We have
Don't
7
break it.
others. Yeah, I know. I'm just looking, make sure there's no cracks. All right, so when you have a press-in wrist pin like this, these pistons you can use with either a snap ring or a floating wrist pin. Basically what you want to do is try and center up as best as you can.
All right, we have our piston on the rod. It is looking good. It is on the right way this time, and we are going to stab it in the motor. Then we'll have 8. And I've got the rings on in their proper orientation. You do like 1 ring here, 1 there. Any piston set will tell you how to do it, or ring set. You're basically just trying to make sure that it seals as good as possible. If you lined them all up, I guess theoretically gases would just go psh, right
Makes
past
sense.
the compression rings. So don't do that.
You got the nuts on the cap.
Yeah, one fell, but I'll get it in a second.
Okay. You're on.
Yes.
Good job.
Nice! We did it. I am doing a final torque on the rod bolts that we are definitely reusing to 50. Give them that second click. That's for safety. There you go. Grab that camshaft, Kunz.
I'm on
Put
it.
some gloves on.
This comp cams one.
Yes. So we are going to run comp cams part number 11-770-8. I believe it's one of their extreme energy grinds. It is a 274-280 full-on duration with 639 lift and 646 lift. So big numbers. Solid roller camshaft. Duration at 50 is 236, 242. This puppy's gonna make a bunch of horsepower. It's gonna be great, but it's also gonna be punchy down low and give you like a really broad power band, because that's what we're going for. It's a truck. We want it to be usable. We want it to be like, you know, have good torque, so that's what we're going for. We're looking at around 9.5 to 1 compression with the heads we're gonna talk about later. And that bump stick, it's gonna be just a nice, big, meaty power band.
Looks like it.
Yeah, look at those lobes there. Look at them bumps.
Lobes are loud and proud.
Yeah. All right, let's lube that sucker up and send it home. I'm gonna inspect the cam bearings now. Yeah, they're fine. You're good. So I would like you to slather that all on there since this is for your car. Everything gets covered. Got it?
Got it. Ooh, this feels wrong.
I don't want to watch that. Got it. Went over to the boltsandnuts.com assortment and just grabbed a long 5/16-18 bolt. Can you get a fancy camshaft tool? You sure can. Can you use a bolt? You sure can. Oh, what is the list price on this puppy to keep the tally going? $522 for you guys at home. Right on Summit Racing. It'll come in a day or two.
So nonchalant.
Thrust bearings are gonna be fine. All right, let's keep rocking. Cool. So if you're gonna run a roller camshaft, you've got to control the cam moving front to back. All roller, hydraulic, or solid lifters need that. Two ways to do that on a Mark IV motor. You can get a Gen 6 style cam that has a smaller bolt circle and a shoulder on here and put a thrust plate on there, or get yourself a cam button. We're gonna get a cam button. We're not putting it in right this second because what we want to do is slap this thing together and going to paint it up tonight. Then we'll start dialing it in tomorrow. When I put this on for good, I'll hit it with some Loctite. Not right now. Goal tonight is to get the heads on, make sure the valve train is going to work. We have push rods that make sense. And then paint this sucker the brightest orange you've ever seen.
Let's do it.
All right, let's put on some way nasty cylinder heads. Yes. So they always say the performance is in the head, not in your head, in the cylinder head.
Yeah.
And when you go out to build a budget big block, back in the day, you would get a set of the best heads that Chevy made, 990s, 781s, et cetera, that have the big valves and the good ports and the small chambers. But it costs as much to buy a set of those things because, number one, people have run through them. Racers for the last 50 years have beat them up, chewed them up, thrown them out. And aluminum heads are just so affordable these days. We did look at some of those options, and it was absolutely cheaper just to buy a set of aluminum heads from Summit. So that's what we wound up doing. I'm gonna run this head gasket. This is a 1037 from Felpro. You want to match your head gasket to the block. Since this is a truck block, it works with the same gasket we were gonna use on the Gen 5 because it has all of the same extra coolant holes, so it should be fine. It's got the steam ports. This should work great. I'm gonna go grab the cylinder heads. I don't know how we got here for baby's first big block build, building like a monster.
Baby's first real out of control.
Oh, this thing's gonna be nuts. Certainly for your first muscle car, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right, so we are rocking with this Summit Racing cylinder head It is a 335 CFM intake runner, 122 cc chamber, 2¼ inch intake valve, 188 exhaust valve. These puppies can make serious power, and the dollar to horsepower number is nuts because this is 841 bucks loaded. I'll put it down here because my back hurts.
You're using a lot of back there.
There you go.
Look at that.
Yep. It comes with springs ready to rock for the camshaft we've got. I don't remember the lift. No, they will do up to 725 lift, and we're going to run 640, so it's well in there. And then the spring pressure numbers are just fine. It's a big port. It's going to flow a lot of air. It's going to be awesome.
I'm getting excited, dude.
Yeah.
Starting to look like something serious.
This is going to be very serious for a first motor build.
Yeah, that's it.
Dope. All right, so we are going to run ARP head bolts at the price of
$126.
$126.
First time we've said that tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, and these extra long ones come. What's the name of the kit? Because we should tell people. You used to have to buy if you get an aftermarket head.
It is part number 1353703. Big block Chevy with iron and aluminum dart head.
Nice.
Iron or aluminum dart head.
Yes, or Summits made by AFR.
Yes.
Also that. But basically, these 4 have to be extra long because they beef this port up and they get rid of this little hump that used to be in there from the stock one, and these actually fit it right out of the gate, which is cool. We're going 3 stages to 70 foot-pounds. We've got pipe dope on the ends of them that's going to the water jackets, and the ARP lube underneath the washers where they're supposed to be. That's it. Look at this guy. You got it. This head's on, not going anywhere. He torqued it like 9 times. We're good.
Yeah, it's very torqued.
Yeah.
As am I.
Yeah. We're checking to make sure our push rods are the right length. We got 9-280 and 8-250. We'll talk about the rest of the components later, but they're a little bit off. I had Barb just make a quick dowel. A piece of wood we have. So we can, as kind of a push rod checker, because none of the stuff we have is long enough. It's all small block and LS. And that looks pretty spot on. The 8-250 is too short, so we added like 300, whatever the wood. He just eyeballed it. Now we're gonna measure it and try to. I think it's at least. I bet this is 8.6. All right, so now we know exactly what kind of push rods we need. They're gonna be a little bit longer than stock, so we'll order up a new set. Summit heads are on there looking killer. We're gonna get the rest of it looking halfway decent, so we're gonna tape it off and give it a fresh coat of Chevy orange. Let's do it. All right, we've got our big block taped up, pushed outside. We're gonna use this Eastwood 2K aerosol engine, high temp engine paint. It's a parter, so you gotta pop that thing in there. Now use it within 48 hours, and you'll get real good results. The motor is dry this morning. It is looking absolutely killer. Bright Chevy orange from that Eastwood 2K looks great. We are children and had to throw some more parts on it just to get an idea how this thing is gonna look. We've got our YN Track Warrior intake manifold, a proper Holley HP 750 on top, and these old school Mickey Thompson valve covers. So before we actually build it, sometimes you gotta take a breath and just look at what you're doing and just go like, dang, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. It's gonna make a whole bunch of horsepower, and it went from being basically a stock 454 to something that's gonna have some compression, free breathing heads, and a nasty camshaft. I'm super pumped. But this stuff we'll save till later. All right, so you have to use a cam button on a roller camshaft so that that thing can move back and forth. The lifters on a flat tap will hold it in place, but rollers do not. It is literally just a little piece of Delrin or wood or whatever this phenolic spacer material is. You're just gonna put it in there, test fit it against your timing cover, and try to get yourself 5 to 7 thousandths of end play on the camshaft, which you'll measure from the backside in here. Pretty straightforward. This costs us nothing, but they're like 14 bucks, so we'll put 14 bucks in there. All right, so at first glance, this timing cover has a bump out from what probably was a cam button back in the day, from whatever random time cover that is. I'm just seeing from pushing the back of the gear, it's got a ton of movement with this. You want to bolt it down with your gasket, get everything the way it's going to really sit, because you're only looking for like 5 to 10 thousandths. And over here, if you look, there's way more. So we're looking for 5 to 10 thou. I'd measure that in inches, so it's way too much. Although 5 to 10 thou is an inch, well, forget it. A stock big block Chevy timing cover should be plenty strong, by the way, if you want to do this with a stocker like we're doing. You can see it's all ribbed up and reinforced. So it should be fine to run a button. Some people just like to run the big cast aluminum ones, but that's extra dollars we don't want to spend.
Okay, go ahead.
Got it?
Yep.
Cam all the way back. You ready?
That's
30.
30 thousandths.
Not bad. How many times did it spin around? Just one?
No.
It didn't go all the way around? So right now the cam can move back and forth 30 thousandths of an inch. We want it, like I said, 5, 6, 7 thousandths. So I'm just gonna hammer this front cover in until we get around that number. A couple of whacks, we should be fine. They have fancy cam buttons that have you can shim and they really dial it in, but this will be good enough for the girls we disappoint.
Yep.
Tell me when it's 20 thou.
Go. No. Ow! Mother. Go ahead.
Don't put your fingers in there.
Okay.
21. Too much.
30 to 21.
Get it out, we'll smack it.
Again.
That's it.
No, I missed it.
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
That's it.
9. There you go. Boom. 9 thou. That'll work.
Yep.
Close enough.
Put it together.
5 to 10, that's in there. All right, now that it's dialed in, we're gonna get this cover painted up, and then we'll start putting the valve train together on this puppy. All right, this is Kunz's first big block, and I don't want him lashing valves all the time, so we're actually gonna run a hydraulic roller lifter on this solid cam. I've gone the opposite way with it, where you run a solid roller on a hydraulic cam. Works both ways. Freiburgers, you probably got something to say about the ramp on a solid roller being a little nasty for a hydraulic, but I believe it's going to work fine. Big block Chevys have been raced and modified since the beginning of time. So we actually were able to find a set of Speed Pro hydraulic lifters off an old marine motor for 100 bucks, which is about the steal of the century, because I think this is about an $800 set of lifters. But
yes.
The ad was real and we answered it. Oh, and if you think I forgot the timing set, that is a Summit Racing timing set, MSRP 35 bucks, or $36.99, I think.
Crush it. That's correct.
So add that to the tally. Barb is putting pipe dope on the rocker studs that go into the intake ports, so that's the entire top rail here. These heads come with push rod guides for 3/8 push rods and rocker studs that are 7/16 at the grand total price of $0, fully included.
Well, I like that.
Yeah.
Buy heads, get hardware free.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to slam in a set of push rods. These are from Summit Racing. They are length. There's 2 sets on a big block, 2 different lengths. These are 8-280 on the short side and 9-250 on the long side. They are 135 wall, so nice and thick and strong. and they are 179 bucks. And that's all the numbers I'm gonna remember for a while. I do a semi-lube on both ends of the push rods and right on the tips of the valves. Then I just drop the rockers on. We are running Summit Racing.
Yep.
These are 1:7 ratio,
price.
7/16. Barb's gonna tell us the price on these
Hang on.
puppies. When you run these in, there's a little flat that's gonna meet the, what do they call those locks?
Poly lock.
That's it. When you put on your rocker, make sure you have the flat up. That's what meets the poly lock, and make sure it holds it down.
330 bucks.
330 bucks for these rockers. That's crazy. Hit them with a little oil just so they don't start up dry.
Okay.
While we wait for burritos to come before we set the valves all up, we're gonna throw the pan. We already put the front cover on, and we're putting on a high volume standard pressure pump with a stud. Barb, what's the cost on the pump? Yeah, it's 2 million bucks. How much, Barb?
It can't be more than $3,000.
It's at least 45 bucks. It has a Moroso pickup on it. It's welded, which you want to do on pretty much every Chevy motor build you do, and I think it's $147. Is that right?
162.
$162.
Close. You're gonna need a wrench on that one, I think.
I think the tariffs might have already hit this one. Yeah. So as you may have noticed, there's no oil pan on the motor. We don't have another Mark IV. There's one in the truck. Kunz's original one didn't make it back from the other shop. So we are scrambling now. We've got a couple feelers out in our local town and see what we can find, but one way or another, we're gonna get this thing rocking. I don't wanna waste any more time. I'm gonna run the valves on this thing. These are hydraulics, so I'm gonna just put a quarter preload on them when they're on the base circle, which means turn the cam around till each lobe is on the base circle, come up to this adjuster, spin it, tighten it up until you get just a hair of drag on the push rod. I like to spin it with this hand. And then as soon as you feel a little bit of drag, call that 0. Add a quarter, call it a day.
Mark them. What are we doing?
No, I'm gonna go in a row.
You gonna go in a row? Okay.
Yep. So you can do EOIC, which is exhaust opening, intake closing. When your exhaust is opening, you can do the intake valve of that cylinder, and when your intake goes up and starts to come back down, as soon as it starts to come back down, you can do the exhaust in that cylinder. That's a super easy way to do it. I have the whole valley open so I can see what's on the base, but I'm still gonna do it that way just for good practices. So start spinning that sucker, Declan. And also don't forget on a, it's gonna go, it goes like this. Exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, right? Or no, not on this one. Lots of motors do that, not this one. That's why I checked, just showing you guys. All right, so we got intake is closing on number 1. So I'm coming in, I'm gonna do the exhaust. Snug it up till you feel a little drag on the push rod. You can spin it in the cups. And then as soon as it does that, I'm gonna give it a half turn of preload and tighten it down. And that's one done. And in our future is probably some longer rocker studs. Okay, keep on rocking here, keep moving. All right, we still don't have an oil pan. We're gonna put on this Summit balancer. I'm not putting it on my price list because we could probably run the stock one and get away with it, but Barb ordered this puppy and it is pretty sweet and a good price at, Barb, when I do that, you gotta say the price. And a good price at?
Blah, blah, blah dollars.
Insert voiceover.
It's only
That'll be better.
$176.
$176. But I'm not putting it towards the total because we have a stock one. It's fine.
Put it on.
But if you want a sweet SFI one, that's a pretty good price. I just don't want that. I would do it. Attaboy, you got it.
I
And then you bring it home for Jerome like that. That's what you do there. Go birds. So we have been scrambling for a big block oil pan, talking to people, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, and one of our favorite neighbors showed up. Like we say, there's always just tons of hot rods rolling around. Someone who doesn't want to be named, but he has a big block oil pan. Barb has the truck on the lift, and he was getting ready to snatch it out. And we have been saved by the bell. We're super stoked. He's going to loan it to us for a day. And we'll get right back. We'll even clean it out. That'd be, yeah.
Needs that.
That'd be awesome. All right, cool. We're going to get one. That's the best. Best news ever.
All right.
So we just ran up to our neighbor Ned's, who is an absolute legend, for letting us borrow this 427 pan. He is up the road building much nicer cars than we do, just for fun and kicking around all the time here in some old first-gen Camaro. But he let us borrow this puppy. Declan's going to get it cleaned up, and unfortunately, none of the pickups on our oil pumps are for a car pan. They're either for aftermarket deep pans or truck pans. Both of them are taller than this. So Barb and I are going to real quick just knock the pickup tube down and make this 7 inches. Let's rock. And then we can flip it over, intake, carb, distributor, fire it up. So let's rock.
Let's go. Ready?
Yep. That's an oil panel, right?
Ned, you legend.
King.
Absolute king.
Okay.
We haven't had a car not leak on that thing anyway.
I'm not seeing any liquid bags.
You're about to have a motor, bud. Get stoked.
Oh, I'm stoked.
Get stoked. We're gonna run this thing right here, for sure.
Right here.
Right here. Well, yeah, my combination, a clean engine building room, mechanics shop, and run-in dyno stand. Here we go.
Look at that hog. Yep, that was really good.
So we just dropped down the YN Track Warrior single plane intake that we're going to use for this thing. Could we have done a dual plane? Probably match the camshaft a little bit better, but it's going to be just fine.
Look how cool it looks.
Look how cool it looks is right. That is sweet. The last piece at $429. So I'm going to call it here long block. Cost us everything you see here, $4,354. Does that sound like a lot? Kind of. But stuff costs money. We did this as cheaply as humanly possible, and I think it's going to make a ton of power. If you want to, get in the comments, call me an idiot. Don't even do that. Come by the shop. Bring beers. Scream at us. It's awesome. We'll have a great time. But realistically, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people and make pretty good power. We did not include the price of the original motor. I think you could call it $750-ish and say for $5,000 you could build this. Because we bought that first Gen 5 for $1,000. It wound up being basically worthless, not using anything out of it except the rods. But we could have used these. We just didn't want to crack any more pistons. So more or less, Kunz was able to use his original block, which is wicked cool because this was his Uncle Johnny's block. So I love that. Steel crank, awesome. 2-bolt, gonna be fine. So yeah, here we have it. This is our low buck big block, and low buck in 2025 apparently means
4,350.
4,300 bucks.
Price per horsepower, though.
Yes. Like I said, call it 5,000 bucks all in, and I think we're gonna have some horse dudes to talk about tomorrow. We're gonna fire it up on the stand right now to hear it, make sure that it runs, and then we're gonna take it straight to the dyno at Chris Wilson's and see if we can light that thing up. My favorite thing to do over there is to bring in a motor and be like, here's what it is, and then he goes, it'll make 300 horsepower, and then it makes way more.
All right. Tony is going to curve that distributor over there. I'm slapping this Holley 750 HP double pumper. That's for you. That's for you, Zimmy.
I'm gonna send a bunch of oil through the motor by pre-lubing it, Just manually spinning the distributor. Spins the... Oh, yeah.
How's she feel?
Let him drag on it. So you spin the crank, you'll get better oil movement through the motor.
Yeah, it's one.
Cool. I'm going to throw in our MSD ready to run distributor. This is a melonized gear which works with our camshaft. You can run what they call a composite gear, i.e. mostly plastic, I think. Those are great for not wearing out your cam, but when they do break, you will be stranded. So keep one in your glove box and some tools to do the job. Or you can run this melonized one, which is also very good. Put tons and tons of this.
Oh, is that the cinnamon?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like Big Red.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
We weren't
Right?
even playing.
Yeah.
No.
The old cinnamon.
Haven't you watched the show before?
Yeah. Top dead center, I believe, on the combustion stroke. I'm going to let you know in a minute.
Yeah, I think those were back order.
I may have to slide around the... Nope.
You didn't double gasket that shit, did you? No, I don't.
Sometimes that takes like 40 minutes. She's dialed. All right, so we wanted to run those Mickey Thompson old school cast valve covers, but we didn't get tall enough ones for this gnarly valve train. They make a taller one, we'll get it later. So we're gonna run these old school stamped ones that say 454 that came on the truck, and it's gonna work just fine. Speaking of Mickey Thompson, we also threw a fresh set of Mickey Thompson tires, street
Sportsman STs, baby.
Sportsman STs, they're street tire, which I actually like a lot.
You know what size we got on the back?
275, 60, 15s. Yeah, of course. It's the tire everybody wants. All right, it is time to crack off this big block. We have a dyno session in the morning. We're going to see if it works. Kunz's first ever V8 build. We're going to let him.
Real.
So let it idle, and we'll give it a rev here and there. It's leaking. We got a gas bag up there. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's see what happens. Cross your fingers. Rolling? Hell yeah. Pretty good start.
All right.
Ready?
I didn't get scared.
Okay. Hold on to your butts.
Woo-wee.
Pretty good.
God.
Nice.
Big blocks, baby.
Go!
All right, come on.
Come on.
All right, one more. Give me one more. You rev it up this time. Hit it.
Here we go.
Sick. This thing sounds awesome. I'm stoked.
Insane.
Pump, barb.
Insane.
Give it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this
We
puppy
built that.
packed up, hit the sack, and see what it can do on the dyno in the morning.
I cannot wait.
Fire me up.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be
Fire
sick.
me
I'm
up.
not sleeping.
Awesome.
I'm driving to Chris's right now.
We are here at Wilson Race Engines. Chris Wilson is getting our 454 up on the dyno, and we're gonna see what kind of power that thing can make. As you can see here, it is big block city. Big block Chevys everywhere. I think I saw one small block, but he's no stranger to making insane power with big blocks. That's what they do here. They mostly build gnarly race motors, and a lot of them are big blocks. So I think he's probably gonna have an idea what this thing's gonna make, but we're gonna find out. So the story of it is this. This was his uncle's truck, and it got like a crate motor in 18 years ago or so. And I don't think he's put more, it was a basic iron head, bone stock crate 454. probably making 240 horsepower, whatever. And then he took the truck to a hot rod shop to get the trans done, and they were going to refresh the motor. They wound up like everything got cast to the wind. He picked it up 3 years later with like missing half the stuff. So we decided we're going to get a Gen 5 and put heads and a cam in it, and it'll be great. And then the Gen 5 we bought had too much wear in one of the cylinders, like we couldn't get it cleaned up. So then we really started looking at what he had. So then it's this Mark IV. The bearings all look good. And we honed a little bit of rust out of the cylinders, and they cleaned up super nice. But it's standard bore, you know, steel crank, 2-bolt main. And we put, you know, those are super low compression. So we did a little dome piston in it. We did a solid roller cam. That's like 640 lift and 236, 242 or so at 50.
That thing, that's where it was at.
Okay.
I'm figuring this thing,
Yeah.
5.
We started with a 5. That's a hot start.
Okay.
I'm thinking 525, 530.
Okay, I think you're in the ballpark
like
for
what
sure.
you're thinking.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're in the ballpark for sure.
I'd
like to see upwards of 550, but we'll see with this how this.
Dad, you want to turn
lifters
that
hang
water on?
How these lifters hang and what the top end looks like.
Starts nice.
You want to check the time?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it up to 3,000, Tony.
Okay.
Something happened. Blew oil out somewhere, or water or something.
Right here.
No, it came out this
Oh,
side.
I'm an idiot. That's my bad.
What'd you do?
The dipstick plug. I didn't silicone it in there. That's me. That's the.
I caught it pretty quick. I
Yeah,
mean, we're
Woo! Got a little scared. I forgot that I couldn't fit the dipstick in last night and shoved the bolt in without any silicone or anything. Always something. So we were scrambling last night, bought a dipstick. It didn't fit in the tube, as often happens. The little dipstick collar is a little mangled on this pan, and we were just rocking and rolling. So I just shoved a flex plate bolt in there. It blew itself. It was fine to start it up on the stand, but you know, under load, it blew itself out. We were making about 470 now. I'd like it to start with a 5, so we're gonna keep on going. We did bring a set of solid lifters if that has to happen. Still bright and early in the morning, so
we ready?
yeah. Get on the water port.
Okay.
Going.
That's where it rolls over, Tony.
Okay.
Looks like it just matched it. Hit 470. It's matching it.
Okay.
It doesn't want to run any higher. The
That
way it
lifter?
is. But that lifter just probably goes flat.
At what RPM is it going?
5,800.
Okay.
That thing should run higher than that.
Yeah.
How much spring pressure you got in it?
It's like 335, I think, at our lift or so, if not more. Supposed to be around 195 closed, and then I think it gets up to around 350.
If it's 195 closed, that's almost like solid lifter stuff.
Yeah. Well, I have some solid lifters.
Well, the solid lifter is going to pick it up 30 horse,
Yeah.
but it's up to you if that's what you want to do. I don't think you're going to get to 500 the way it is.
Okay.
I mean, is it good? Yeah, it's good. It's a nice street car. You can drive it and stuff. You put the solid one in there, you know, it's...
It is a solid roller cam.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Put the solid lifter in it.
All right.
It'll
That's
pick
my
up a
guy.
ton.
It'll fix it. All right. All right, let's let it cool down then, and then we'll start.
Yeah, I'll flood it with cold water.
Okay.
Dad, do you want to shut the water off?
All right, so we're going to throw these solid lifters in Chris says do it. It's making like 470. We want more. It's laying over is the issue. At 5,700, our $100 used lifters are not hanging tough. So we are going to yank them out. We have a $200 set of also used lifters that are solid that we're going to get on this puppy and see what it does. I want to get this number up into the 5s. All right. This is Kunz's engine, so he's going to help. As long as I put the camera down, it's time to... If I'm going to burn myself, you're going to burn yourself.
It's just second nature to get behind the camera.
Yeah, I get it. Fuck.
Tony, you never tightened them.
No, they're too short is the issue.
What the?
The stud is too short. All right, so we knew we were pushing it with the length of the rocker studs. So I did overnight set here that are longer. But Chris is saying we get away with shorter push rod and get a couple more turns on it. And we'll see what happens. But he's got longer rocker studs here already.
What do you...
He does big block everything. But we're going to get it figured out and probably run it again with those on it, right?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
just
we're gonna
make
run
sure it
again.
didn't
Let's
kick
see.
that push rod out.
So one of the lifters grew itself up when this rocker went and it's out. Chris says he can fish it without taking the intake off. We want to run it again with the hydraulics in it and see if we pick up a whole bunch of power. Not bad for 7 though. 470 and 7 cylinders.
Turn the wire. Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Gaskets anyway. All right, what are we looking at on this lifter here?
Didn't hurt it. Still goes back in. Just I couldn't get it to line up very good. To go in, Tony?
Not yet. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right.
Okay. Cool. Well, solid lifters it is. They're in that box behind you.
Okay.
Are you missing one or did I miss one?
There's what?
One of these studs.
These are all yours.
Okay, so we got the 454 all back together with the solid rollers now and slightly longer rocker studs. And we're gonna see what it can do. I'm hoping to get to a number that starts with a 5 instead of that 470 number, but it's pretty good for 7. I don't want to do the math on how much we're losing there, but I think at least just fixing that would have gotten us some decent power. What just happened?
5,500.
It made 558 horsepower at 5,500 RPM. Or
The last
5,
one was
yeah, 550. That's, yeah, the lines were like this.
Well, I knew that there's where we were.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
let's
right on.
let's go to the average here, so we can see what we picked up in the average. You're 423 for average before we just picked up 70, and it's like crazy. Like this thing is gonna make some power now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Lee.
577.
It's going way past 6. Like it lost something there.
What's up?
Like it lost something.
Yeah, what happened there?
So we're 507 for torque on the average.
Yeah.
Or 509, okay? And then when we go past that point, it's like it loses.
Okay.
It looks like it was fluttering down here, like it.
You want to should we pull a valve cover in
Yeah,
here?
I would.
Let's pull them.
Yeah,
Rolling hot, that's hot. Gonna pull the valve covers, make sure everything looks good. The first pull it made 550 under 6,000 RPM, and it should keep going. Okay, let's pull that other one off. Yes. First look, yes. We got a ton of gap here. bad one. I think it's, no, I just knocked it out. Stripped that thing out. All right, so we just found
Oh, we got another one.
2 poly locks that rip the threads right out of them. So we're gonna modify a different set, put them on here, get rocking.
Let me see.
Try to get a clean pull. But its spring pressure is there. It's just blowing the threads right out of that thing.
Dad, hand me that wrench and that Allen wrench.
All right, hold it together for like 2 runs. Come on. Make me proud. All right, hardware, please. Let's see.
Say a prayer.
Come on!
You ain't got enough valve spring.
Really?
Not enough valve spring. I think it pulled another one out.
Polylocks.
It's the poly locks in the valve spring.
Okay.
It's pulling them out.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to call it. So we throw valve springs and poly locks that aren't gonna rip off this thing and add 1,000 RPM. How much power is it gonna make if it makes 550 now, you think?
575.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy, right?
Easy. Motor should make 575 easy.
It's pretty good.
That's what I said. When you said you had 190 pounds, I was like, no.
Let me check that, but I think that's what it is.
That,
All right.
With that spring, it's on there, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all in, the whole motor's like 5,000 bucks.
Oh, you've done well.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good.
I mean, how much do you think that little truck weighs?
Well, not much. He's gonna
3,500 pounds?
probably.
3,500 pounds. Let's just figure 550 horse.
The way it is now.
That's 1040 and a quarter.
Golly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
For a first muscle truck.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. We don't have. I'm taking it as a big win. You
Yeah.
know, I think if we got everything right in the valve train, I think it'll be right around
For sure.
600.
I mean, this was an empty block that I picked up on a pallet
Yep.
10 days ago or 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
and we just made 550, and
Yeah.
we're not even
Not even there.
there yet.
Feels
Yeah.
pretty good.
I think we get some.
Those poly locks, you can throw those in the trash.
Yeah, those right in the garbage. Invest in some valve train parts and
Yeah. Yeah.
go to
Awesome.
space.
Yeah. Rad. Rad. All right. All right. So we are pulling that 454 off of the dyno, making an easy 550 horsepower,
Insane.
under 6,000 RPM. I think that thing's going to make over 600 horsepower when we get the valve train sorted. We got to change a couple of components and we can come back. But for a, as budget as we could do it, if we got 4,500 bucks in hot parts, making near what I think is going to be over 600 horsepower. That feels awesome. But we made the 550. That is brutal.
We saw it and heard it and felt it.
It sounds sick.
It's vicious.
It's still in one piece. It's awesome. Killer first. You can get out there and get a big block and make serious power.
Yeah.
Instead of buying some, random all iron $4,000 thing that makes 350 horsepower, you can make near 600. So that feels good.
And if you hustle and don't sleep, you can do it in like 2 days.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to apologize to your wife in advance.
No, this is all
for the trouble you'll be
a
in.
million thank yous for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, for
building
sure.
this. This is incredible.
This is gonna be rowdy. That thing's killer. Makes you want to build some big blocks, man. They just do stuff.
Dude,
Also being here.
Let's
makes
do
you
it.
wanna
Yeah, I
do
mean,
it.
being in big block heaven doesn't hurt.
All right, that is it. If you want to build something similar, we got all the parts listed out.
We'll sell them
And
cheap.
yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, this motor is sick. I can't wait to get it in the truck. But
Same.
the deal is this: we have decided that since it's his first truck, his first V8 muscle car, he's got to put 2,000 miles on the motorhome motor before we even talk about swapping it out. So
Maybe 1,000. We made that deal late. We made that deal pretty late last
2,000,
night.
2,000.
Yeah, we'll get her shaken down.
Get a
There's
feel
a
for it.
A couple other things will probably
Yeah, we got some other
beef up-
projects coming in.
beef
and
up in that truck
You
anyway.
put the 2,000 in there and we'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
Love you, man.
That's
Thanks for everything.
it for this week's video on Stay Tuned. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys. Stay tuned.